Hello everyone, my name is George and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to take a look at how to analyze and how to check uh, Google Form responses when using Google G Suite for Education. In our previous videos we talked about how to use Google Forms and what are some advanced features of Google Forms and how they can be used in conjunction with Google Classroom. And in this video we're going to talk about our responses. So we made our quiz and we had some of our students respond to the quiz. And we can see here on the top we have two options, questions and responses. We can see how the students responded here by clicking responses. And there's a number that comes up on the right showing how many students responded. In this case, there's 3. Now there are 3 columns here. First you have your summary. This shows you information for all of the students, including everything that was on the quiz. The second option is question. It shows you an individual feedback from each student, question by question. And then the last one is the individual quiz completed by the student. So this would be the closest thing to the paper quiz that the student submitted. And of course, we have a print feature here. So if you need to print that and uh, keep track of that for administrative purposes, you can do that. First, let's take a look at our summary. So the first thing that comes up is a list of insights. This shows you the score distribution. It shows you the average, the median, and the range. In our previous quiz, we only had 2 points, so the maximum score was 2 points, 1 and then 0. And we can see here, when you hover over this, it shows you the exact count. So in this case, it shows you that 2 students did that. It also shows that on the y-axis over here, which corresponds to the number of responses. And on the x-axis, we have our points scored. This is really important if you're grading a class on a curve or if you have a certain cutoff. You're able to show the students how they perform in a general manner without highlighting who were the best students or who were the worst students in a collective format. Now in our previous video, we chose the feature our settings here and we collected email addresses and we limited it to 1 response. So normally we'd also see the student's email address, but I removed that here just so we don't show the student's name and personal information. And the first thing that pops up is frequently missed questions. So we can see here in this question here, only 1 out of 3 students got that one correct. This is incredibly useful to gauge the quality of your quiz. For example, if a lot of students keep getting one question wrong, Google Forms shows you that. It shows you the frequency of that, and you can think to yourself, well, was that a good question? Or what did I make a mistake? Maybe there was a spelling error, or maybe the students are confused and it's a part of the curriculum or unit that the students didn't grasp. And it could be your opportunity to use this to enforce that specific concept. And if you highlight the little question mark here, it only shows you that questions with less than 50% correct response rate. So anything over 50% you're not going to see. Then it shows you the names of the students that responded. In this case, we had 3, John, Tom, and Julie. And their student numbers here, and it corresponds directly, which means John would be 1, 2, 3, 4, Tom would be 1, 3, 3, 4, and Julie would be 1, 1, 1, 1. And we have our class number. It produces a really nice, Google Forms produces a really nice pie chart. And we can see here we had students from 3 different class numbers here. There was 1 student here, 1 student there, 1 student there. And this is really important when it comes to identifying trends in your data, in your practice quiz. It also helps you determine if all the students in your class completed the quiz. For example, if you had 5 students per class and only 4 students in one class did that, you can quickly know not every student completed that, and you can go back and check the data here, which we're going to show in our next video using Google Sheets. You can also copy this chart and you can copy it into Photo or Google Sheets. Finally, it'll give you the breakdown of how the students answered the question. So our first question here, who is the President of the United States? We had 3 options, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump. And you can see each student chose 1 here, and green is the correct answer, so only 1 out of 3 students got that question correct. And you see the breakdown, and you can also copy this chart as well. So this is really useful when you want to go over a quiz in front of your class, but also keep it anonymous. This is if you want the students to know the answer to the quiz. If you don't want the students to know the answer to the quiz, you don't want to be showing them this information, and this is just to be for your eyes only. On our second response, you can see no students got this one correct, so nothing is green. Uh, that means that nobody chose the correct answer because, in fact, there was no correct answer because this is just what is your favorite color. So this is another way you can view this just to show collect information. This one had a correct answer, whereas this one did not. So we can take a look at this in the form of our question, where we can see specifically how John added, uh, responded, Julie added, Tom responded, and you can give the student individual feedback. So let's say you want to give John specific feedback on his quiz. You click Add Feedback, and you can write a response. Please study more, or thank you. And you can save this, and the student will receive individual feedback. Now, an option will come up after you do this, and it'll show you an option to edit this, to throw this in the trash. And it'll also say edits are pending because you didn't enter the grade here for the student. So perhaps you might want to enter their grade since they completed that answer, and you click Save. Once you click Save, the student will have access to that, and you can send them a response with this information, or you can print that out, or save it as a PDF and give it to the student at a later date. Here we have our students' information down here, and we go to our third one. You can also, before we go to our third one, you can also sort this by name. So you can sort this by student number. I was sorting it by name before. You can sort this by the questions. You can see specifically which students got this question correct. You can see I gave you my answer feedback here for the students, and you can take a look at everything for each question. If you sort it by name, you can also click the option here of the arrow just to go right, and you can switch back and forth between whatever filter option you feel that you want to use. Our third option here is individual. That's where you see the person's individual sheet, and you're going to see a few things. You're going to see the amount of points they got, and you're going to see a little lock and key showing if the students had their scores released or not. Now I chose the option here for the students in our quiz section to have their option later after manual review, and this is where you're going to be able to release the scores to the students. And in the summary section, or in the individual section here, this is where you do that. You can also do this in the summary section, and I'll show you, or you can also do this in the question section, and I'll show you how to do that later. But if you go to your individual section, you can take a look at the student's individual answer. You can see John, I gave John some feedback here. You can see in this section, he got 1 out of 0 points. You can edit this as well. This is 0 points, obviously, and name, of course, is 0 points. And you can go ahead and edit this. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes you can make errors and enter as many numbers as possible, but you want to avoid those errors. So, of course, there are no values on giving his student number, but there are values on these over here. He has 1 and 0, maximum 2, and you can click Save, and now his score is saved, but his score is not released. On the bottom, it'll give you the timestamp in which John received, John submitted his form. It was submitted at this specific time. So this is how you take a look at our feedback here. And we have the summary, the question, and the individual. And you can take all this information and click the 3 dots here, and you can you have additional options to view this form. So the first thing you can do is you can get email notifications for new responses. Okay, so if you keep this open, you can say to yourself, all right, well, I want to see when the students are taking this quiz. So as soon as a student completes it, you'll get an email. I don't recommend this simply because if you have a large class, your email will just be flooded with emails. But you might want to know that depending on, maybe it's a survey that you're giving or a quiz that can be completed anytime throughout the term or the semester. You can also select a response destination. That means which folder it can go in. And you can download this material, the data here, to a CSV. And as we spoke before, CSV is kind of like the open source format where you can send this file to anybody using Excel or Google Sheets, and it's quite easy to use regardless of their version. And you can also print all responses. So if you click this response here, you click print, and then every single page of every single student's response can be printed. This might be necessary for administrative purposes, etc., etc. And if you click the three buttons again, you can also delete the responses. So if you don't want this to be collected anymore, or perhaps this is a class that you completed several years ago, you don't need to do that. All right, in our next video, we're going to go over how to create a spreadsheet with the data that you have here. Thank you so much for watching our video, and if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.